I'm Ashlyn.
And I'm Zach.
And we're traveling A to Z.
This week we're exploring Sedona in Arizona.
We're on the way to Sedona, Arizona.
While we're in the Sedona area, we're going to do some of the top hikes and also some of the top sightseeing around the area. Join us as we take you along on our adventures. Our first stop is to Tlaquepaque Arts and Shopping Village. We're at the Tlaquepaque
Market, which is like a art gallery, shops, restaurants. It's really cool. Apparently it was built about 48 years ago, but it looks really old.
Tlaquepaque is named after a traditional Mexican village, and the architect who actually designed it went to a whole bunch of Mexican villages to come up with the design of this place. There's over 50 specialty shops and exclusive art galleries.
So it's cool because the place is decorated all outside by the artists that have their stuff in all the shops and the galleries. So you see random artwork all around, which you could also purchase.
Yeah, it's very artsy, like the dodo bird behind us.
Yeah.
This whole place is really neat.
It's cool. So I'm drinking the chai from the chai spot, which was really good. It's kind of creamy and you could taste the cardamom. Apparently it's original recipe from the owner from Pakistan, which she always drank when she was young. So it's a little taste of Pakistan.
And now I'm going to eat a piece of almond bark.
From How Sweet It Is, the chocolate shop. Okay, is it as good as the Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory?
Comparable.
Comparable, okay. So we're at the Airport Vista Overlook.
The Airport Vista Overlook is one of the top places to watch a sunset in Sedona. It overlooks the whole city of Sedona with the surrounding mountains around it. We did not have a chance to see the sunset, but we did see a beautiful sunrise and then did a hike after.
We're on our way to go check out the Montezuma's castle.
So this is just a little stroll, about less than a quarter of a mile from the visitor center to this little castle, which is right in the cliff.
Behind me you can see Montezuma's castle. It's a 20-room structure that was built in the 1350-ish to 1400s. They estimate this community housed about 200 people.
Each of the rooms were about 17.5 feet by 8 feet big and about 5 foot tall because they were really short. And the women and the children did almost all the plastering, and they are the ones that also plastered when things were breaking about once a year just to fix it up. Pretty neat.
So at this archaeological site, there's another structure located next to Montezuma's castle. This one houses 45 rooms, and most of what they know about these people came from this site, not the other one, because it was looted so badly.
You could see all the areas where there's holes. That's where they had holes for light, so they would get light in there. And then you could also see areas where they had beams to hold up some of the walls. This is Montezuma's well. And you could see behind me, this is where the Native Americans used to take water from. And on the side, you could see some of their dwellings. So this is kind of a cool well because it always has water coming up. They say it's about 55 foot deep. Because it has so much CO2 in it, there's no fish that live in there, and there's lots of leeches, which is kind of weird. They've had lots of divers go down to go and explore the area, and they can see swirling sand where all the water comes in. And this is one of the only places that will continue to have water all the time. And it filters 10,000 gallons every day. So the water takes 7 minutes only to come up, over, and to go down through the canal and back into the river. So that means about 10% of the water turns over every day, which is why it makes it fairly good for drinking. Is it warm?
It really is 74 degrees. It's warm. I mean, it's not warm, but it's not cold. It's supposed to be 74 degrees year round, and I think that's about right. We're gonna go jeeping.
On pink Jeeps. Even cuter.
Yeah, they are pink.
The Pink Adventure Tours has a variety of tours to choose from. The shorter Jeep tours are about an hour and a half long, all the way up to longer tours that are around 4 hours long. The tours also have a different range of difficulty, from mild ride all the way up to a rugged ride. We did the Ancient Ruin and Red Rock Range Combo Tour. In this tour, we journeyed across backcountry canyons, deep ravines, and historic wagon trails, and ended at an ancient ruins with cliff dwellings.
Check that out, guys. Check out that view behind us.
So that back there was Diamondback Gulch, and it was pretty cool, pretty steep. These Jeeps are impressive.
We're hiking to the Honanki ruins, which is at approximately a half a mile loop, and you gain around 331 feet elevation. They lived out here around 700 AD and were hunters and gatherers. There is approximately 150 people who lived at this site, and there is around 70 rooms. It is the second biggest archaeological site in the area behind Montezuma's castle. If you look at the big black square thing, it is thought that the mud and building went all the way up to that area. Unfortunately, it collapsed and a lot of the building fell down. The white circle on the ruins is called a clan shield. Their coat of arms, or like a mailbox, basically identifying who lived at this location. If you look closely, you could also see petroglyphs on the walls. Chapel of the Holy Cross. The chapel was completed in 1956 by a local rancher and sculptor and was commissioned inspired by the 1932 newly constructed Empire State Building. The plan was to build this church in Budapest, Hungary. Unfortunately, due to World War II, she ended up building the church in her native region of Sedona. The view from the church and the surrounding areas is beautiful with the red rock. I definitely recommend checking out the chapel if you're in the area. One of the top things to do when you're in the Sedona area is to go hiking. There are a lot of amazing hikes to do in this area. We're going to show you a couple of them. If you want more details about the hikes and also about more hikes in the area, please click the link above to check out our last video. The first hike we recommend is Devil's Bridge.
We are heading to Devil's Bridge. It's supposed to be approximately a 4-mile round trip hike.
This hike has amazing views of the Red Rocks.
This is the Devil's Bridge. It is the biggest sand bridge in Sedona. So right there you can see the Devil's Bridge where people are walking across, and then you can take pictures on the other side right here.
Our next hike we recommend is Cathedral Rock.
We are heading to Cathedral Rock. It's supposed to be approximately a mile round trip, scurrying up the rocks. It's a super popular hike, and it's supposed to have gorgeous views.
In this hike, you gain approximately 741 feet elevation. When you get to the top, you have nice views of the Red Rocks and the surrounding areas.
So here you have to go up some cliffs and you have to go up some rocks, but it's not too bad. And when you get up to the top, you have a gorgeous view.
Our next recommendation is Bell Rock.
We are heading up to Bell Rock.
Bell Rock is approximately 0.8 miles round trip, and you gain around 200 feet of elevation. From the top, we had a great view of the sunrise. We next recommend Soldier's Pass.
We're gonna do the Soldier's Pass Pass hike. It's supposed to be awesome, and they have like the Devil's Kitchen and the sacred pools and a cave. We're taking Bola Pass to the Soldiers Pass. It's a little out of the way, but it's our way to get there before it gets super crowded and we don't have to worry about parking. So we made it to Devil's Kitchen, which is a big sinkhole, 150 feet deep. It's pretty deep.
Wow.
We're now gonna head to the 7 sacred pools. In the spring when the water's flowing, these fill up with water, all the pools, and it's pretty cool to see. Now we're gonna go to the hidden cave. We made it in the cave. I made it up that little vertical incline. It's pretty cool. Behind us there's a little hole, so you should be able to look out. This is the only McDonald's that has a blue arch in the world, and it's because that Sedona has certain requirements and they don't allow neon yellow signs. Kind of cool.
Our next stop is to Tuzigoot National Monument.
Heading up to the Tuzigoot National Monument. In 1933, this used to just be a pile of rubble, and then they started excavating it and doing digs. So then they found this 110 room pueblo. There's approximately 450 people that lived here, and then like 250 families or something. It's crazy.
This site had multiple rooms and some that were 2 stories tall. It was interesting because the place was built over different time periods and they just kept adding on different rooms over time.
Apparently it was the kids' jobs to fill all the cracks with mud, and so when the walls fell over, they had to go back to the river, get the mud, and come back up and fix it. The museum at the Visitor Center is pretty cool because it has a lot of the different artifacts that were found here when they were digging it out. We're driving up from Cottonwood up to Jerome, which is supposed to be an old copper mining town, and we're gonna go check it out. I guess it's cute. Kind of used to be a ghost town that is now starting to come back, and there's some restaurants and some hotels, but we want to go check out the old historic part of Jerome. We're at the Audrey mine shaft where they used to mine for copper.
It's a long way down there. It's 1,900 feet deep.
Deeper than the Empire State Building.
Is tall.
Behind us is the city of Jerome. To the left of us is the Jerome Museum. We decided not to go because we didn't want to pay $7 a piece. But where we were earlier was where the old mine shaft was, and that's kind of, you give a donation or it's free. So we did go into that. Now we're just gonna walk around the outside of where the museum is, and they have great views. So you can see the old mine shaft. You can just see how the whole hillside is just dug out. So we're at the Verde Canyon Railroad today, and we're gonna go for a train ride through the different canyons.
The locomotive that's pulling this train is one of 2 locomotives that were manufactured for the train in Alaska. They're steam engines, and they've been repurposed for pulling tourists around.
And we're gonna go ride one of them.
It's amazing how big this thing is.
So there's a cute little railroad museum here at the train station that we've been wandering around, and it's in an old railroad car. It's pretty neat. It has a good history of Jerome, Clarkdale, Cottonwood, and the railroad's history in those towns.
We're on a train.
It's amazing how big these things are. It's probably 10 feet wide. It's like a moving room. It's really cool.
All the passenger cars are climate controlled and have comfortable seating. Each car has large panoramic windows and access to an open-air viewing car for 360-degree viewing as you ride.
And we get skewers and appetizers and brownie bites, because this is the first class train.
And apparently they're going to give us champagne. Cheers to the champagne. 42. I think that's slag for the mining operation.
The 4-hour ride on the Verde Canyon Railroad goes from the historic Clarkdale to Perkinsville and back. This train ride has panoramic views in every direction. The ride is 40 miles round trip, and you go along the river's edge with towering red rock pinnacles, fortified bridges, and through a 734-foot man-made tunnel carved through solid rock over a century ago. During the train ride, they have a nice narrative that talks about the history of the area and also the geological formations that you are seeing during the ride. The engine's turning around.
So we're at the Arizona Stronghold tasting room. And it's a cute little tasting room in Cottonwood, which is about 15 miles outside of Sedona. Apparently they're the biggest producers of wine in the state of Arizona. And so far we've had 4 tastings, different ones apiece, and they've all been really good. They're very excellent. We're very happy with them.
So apparently there was a mistake in the bottling process and they mixed 2 wines together and ended up having to buy the vat of wine from the person that they were making the wine for, and they wrote him a settlement check. And as a result of that, they named the wine Settlement. So this is Settlement.
And they actually kept it.
And they kept it, and now they're bottling it and selling it. It's pretty good.
And they have yummy little tapas that we've pretty much already finished.
Yeah, they're really good too.
I hope you enjoyed exploring some of the top things to do in and around Sedona, Arizona. Please subscribe below to follow more of our adventures.